The founder of Stoicism, Zeno of Citium, is said to have found his place amongst the gods. It's a historical quote that he found his place amongst the gods. But the way in which he achieved this is unlike no other. So there was this idea that you could climb the heights of Mount Olympus and find your place with the gods. It's kind of mythical that someone like Hercules, they say that Hercules found his place amongst the gods. And this is the way they talked about myth, but Zeno of Citium was a real person. He was the founder of Stoicism. He was shipwrecked. He was a wealthy merchant, shipwrecked. He lost everything. And then he founded Stoicism. Rather than giving in to despair, he founded Stoicism. But they say that Hercules found his place amongst the gods through his labors, through his struggles. He climbed up Mount Olympus through sheer determination, through courage and will, through an indomitable spirit. And the historians say that Zeno didn't find his place amongst the gods. He didn't climb Mount Olympus by stacking Mount Pelio on top of Mount Ossa, which was a famous story of trickery, I suppose. By stacking two mountains on top of each other, you get to the heights of Mount Olympus. And he didn't do it the same way that Hercules did it. And these are stories, again, of myth. There wasn't really a person stacking two mountains on top of each other. Hercules wasn't really facing the Hydra, the boar, wasn't really facing the lion. But they say that Zeno of Citium found his place amongst the gods through temperance. Which is odd, really, because when we talk about Stoicism and what we admire people like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus and Seneca, what we admire them for, it's a variety of things. But it is not temperance alone. And I often don't see people talking about this idea of Stoic temperance that is so admired. It's normally the courage, the justice, the wisdom. And again, Zeno found his place amongst the gods through temperance alone. The historians didn't talk about anything else except for temperance. So what is this idea? Well, in Zeno's time, he was admired because he couldn't really be pulled anyway. It didn't matter how rich he was, how powerful he was. It didn't matter how emotionally entangled you was with Zeno. He was Zeno, and he didn't give in to vices. He didn't give in to the passions just because they seemed very, very attractive or alluring. Nothing could pull him. Only Zeno could move himself. And that's what he was admired for. Which is strange because, these virtues, the virtue of temperance, it's within you. It's not necessarily a visible thing like his achievements on making Stoicism so popular and helping so many people. It's not really his wealth that he had. It's not really any of these things, his physical stature, anything. Temperance is invisible. All you can see is the impact of temperance. And I guess that's the point of Stoicism, is that these things alone are enough. They are sufficient for a good life. In fact, that is what makes you a hero of Hercules. But in modern day, it's what makes you a good person. And being good feels good. And I guess that's the path to the good life. But what is temperance in modern day? And what does it look like? How can you find your place amongst the gods? All the things that challenge our temperance, all the things that spur us into vice, all the things that spur us away from temperance, that make us ruin our character, give in to the passions. All of these things that lead us down a bad path or the wrong path, lead us to ruin. All these things can be fixed with temperance. And what that looks like is, first of all, holding within your mind at all times that your goal is to be good, as Marcus Aurelius says. Your goal is to be a good man. It is not to talk about what a good man is, but it is to be a good man or a good person. So you keep that in your mind. And you understand that giving into your passions, giving into vice, is not being good. So you relax and you try to keep this relaxed frame of mind throughout your day, this mindfulness, and you become more aware of this feeling that arises when you want to give in to your passions, when you want to destroy temperance, self-restraint. So it might show up when you have something difficult to do, when you have to send an email, when you have to have a difficult conversation, when you have to do a workout, when you have to eat healthier for your health, when you have to do the things that are required of you in your day-to-day that maybe are quite challenging at times. And you'll get this feeling that's uncomfortable, but it's quiet. So the way this feeling often surfaces is you'll pull out your phone. And I think the phone is the best evidence of this. So I'll refer to the phone as the problem, because I think everyone listening probably has a phone. And it is most people's escape, this thing is. So next time you pull out your phone for no reason and just scroll, and you're like, why am I procrastinating? That's a sign. It's the cue. And it's a good thing. Don't punish this or whatever, but just when you pull that phone out, just put it down and think, what am I trying to avoid by pulling out this phone? And this is probably one of the most powerful exercises you can do. So next time you pull out your phone, try to escape something, think, what am I trying to avoid? Maybe you don't get an answer. So you just sit there, don't try to resist anything, just be, and you start to feel a little bit uncomfortable. It's very difficult, so show yourself some grace here. But it'll start to be a little bit difficult, and you'll start to know what you're trying to avoid. And the reason you're pulling out your phone is because of whatever this feeling is you're avoiding. So say you have a workout to do and you keep pulling out your phone. It's because you're avoiding the physical discomfort of the workout. And when you get that answer, I'm pulling out my phone to avoid this, then you can make a choice on what it is you should be doing. And in that moment, temperance has saved you. Because, I mean, Zeno didn't have a phone. Zeno would have had other vices to give into, other things that would have allured him. Food. Money, greed, corruption, the things that come with power. And especially back then, you could have had things, and you just take that pause when you want this thing, because you know you don't need that thing. You know it's not right for you. You understand that giving into this impulse is not the right thing. You know that. It's just hard to resist it. You can try to convince yourself it's the right thing when you want it so bad. But when you get that impulse to have that thing, just take that pause, think, what am I avoiding? Think, what is the detriment of this? If I take this thing, if I pull out this phone, if I drink that drink, if I accept this negative path, what are the long-term consequences of this? Well, I'll keep doing it and it will take me further down the path. And that's not a place I want to go. You turn the tide right now in the little decision to just show some compassion to yourself. Just take a pause. You don't have to give into the thing right now. And you don't have to fight it away right now. It's the fight that makes things hard. I remember listening to I think it was a priest. He was saying, we have all these temptations and we fight and we fight and we fight them, and it just makes this inner conflict, and the temptation is still there. He says, once you find God, once you find something that you love more than giving into this temptation, you won't want to give into this temptation. And if that's God for you, if your love for God is that, but also it can be your love for yourself. Your understanding. I mean, the gods believed that we had a fragment of Zeus within us. So when we give into these vices, we are literally disrespecting God. We're disrespecting Zeus. We're forcing them to give into this thing. But if you love yourself and your goal is to be good, that is the most important thing, which it is. Being a good person for yourself and for the world around you, it's the right thing to do. And it just takes courage. It takes temperance. But when we start to see this as more important, and then we're faced with this thing that we desire, or we can just take a pause and we say, what do I actually need more? What is the thing I want more? Is it this short-term gratification, this short-term escape, this release? Or is it for my life to be good, to do the right thing, to be a good person? And you don't have to have a conflict. You can just say, well, I want to be good. Well, let's take a pause. Show some compassion for myself. What would be the right thing to do? And it is that small step. It's very small, but that is the greatest victory. Because life only exists right now. So this victory right now is a great victory. And in this moment, you're a winner. Temperance. Temperance alone found Zeno with the gods. I wonder what temperance can do for you. Self-restraint. Because temperance is no great achievement. It is the small achievement right now. It is the decision right now. That's what temperance is. That's what Zeno did in every moment when he felt like giving into vice. Because even as this man that they say found his place amongst the gods, he would have had difficulty not to give in to these temptations. And he would have had to go through that every single day. But he would have reminded himself that his goal is to be a good person. And giving into this thing is not good. So show himself some compassion, relax, and move on from that. Go down the other path. What is the other path? Only you know that. But it is in the direction of virtue. Temperance is a strange one, because I think modern day, the popularity of Stoicism is to see temperance as discipline, like David Goggins, like Jocko Willink. Get up at 4 a.m. every day. But that's not temperance, You can have extreme discipline, but no temperance. In fact, Some say that extreme discipline is a form of lack in control, lack in restraint, shall I say. You have no restraint on your day-to-day life, so you give into extreme discipline. And this extreme discipline can be valuable for some, but it can also lead you down the wrong path, to perfectionism, to burnout. And I know it's seen as weak to mention that extreme discipline isn't valuable. I mean, it does have a value. It certainly worked for me. It got me places. It got me out of the hole, I suppose. It gets you out of the darkness. It can. But it can lead you into more darkness. It can lead you further down a tunnel. So this temperance is having the discipline to do the right thing within moderation. It is doing that workout, but also not using that workout as a form of escapism. It is doing that workout, but also not missing out on the important things in life through excessive working out. You know, a lot of people work out 4 hours a day, which is, in my opinion, too much. I don't think you need to work out 4 hours a day, but who am I to say? But you miss out on 3 hours with your child, 3 hours with your partner. You miss out on those 3 hours because you decided that 4 hours is more important. Well, if we have the self-restraint to do 1 hour, then we have those 3 hours. Self-restraint, temperance, it's a tricky beast. But it often comes from just pausing, not rushing into things and thinking what is right to do, and then having the courage to do that thing. Not overindulging, but also not being seen, as the Stoics say, to appear to have nothing. You know, the Stoic says, Marcus Aurelius said, be careful not to be Caesarified, not to be dyed in purple robes, not to be dressed in all gold. Be careful of that. But also the opposite is true. Not to be seen bragging that, oh, look at me, I don't give in to anything, I have nothing. I wear raggedy robes like the cynics. I walk around barefoot, I have nothing, how great am I? That's not great. I mean, it could be, but greatness is within you. It is your character. And greatness will be reflected through the way you influence the world. It's not reflected through your wealth or your fame or any of that, through cars. It is reflected through the way you treat the world, how you leave the world, how you are in your every single moment. So temperance is a tricky one, but it comes from that pause and reminding yourself what is important. It is important to be good. That's most important. Following virtue. So if this was helpful and you're new here, I don't think many of you watching this will be new here, but if you are new here, and you want to understand more about Stoicism, and you're like, this sounds interesting, this Stoicism. It's not what I thought it was. It's not about being unemotional. It's not about any of this. Stoicism is actually about being a good person. I didn't believe it. It's about mastering your life in a way that sees fit for the world. I did write a book on this, which is The Everyday Stoic, and it is my journey from when I was 18. It's how I use Stoicism. It's my personal way how I use Stoicism from when I was 18, working on the building sites, being illegally underpaid, and I was depressed, I was miserable, I was pessimistic, I was everything, nihilistic. I didn't think there was a chance for me to live a good life, to be happy, to be confident, to be successful. And now I am all those things, that's personal. You can look at me and say I'm not successful. It doesn't really matter because I feel successful in my life. I feel happy. I feel confident. And it's because of Stoicism. And that's what I write about in this book. So if that sounds like something that would be a benefit to you, read my book. And if you have read my book, I would love for you to leave a review. I'd love for you to leave a review. You can do that too. Then I can... I don't know. I don't know what I'm on about. I was rhyming. But thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day.